Hey everyone, welcome back to Foxtrot Trading. This is Jeff Flagg here with you, and today we are going to discuss buying of a firearm. Now, I'm sure many of you have went out there and you've already maybe bought a gun, or you've talked to a friend about buying a gun, or you've talked to somebody who has already went through the process of buying a gun. But, we're going to cover some things that you may know, you may not know. But most importantly, we're really going to hit right on the ATF form that you're going to fill out when you go there. Why? Because that is a nationwide form. Doesn't depend, it's not state dependent. There are state dependencies depending on which state you're in. I'm in Michigan, and we will talk about a Michigan pistol sales record, because that is one of the things that we're going to discuss for this. The other state that we'll mention West Virginia. My nephew, my cameraman, who's right behind the camera as we're talking right now, we discussed this. West Virginia is completely different than Michigan. Why? Because they do not do any kind of transaction through the state, for say, about when that pistol gets sold or gets bought by you. Michigan, however, does. Michigan, you have to fill out that form, and one form goes into the state police, one goes with you and stays with the firearm for, I think it's 10 days you actually have to actually submit the form. So anyway, we're going to get right into the form. So you're going to hear me talk about this form, and you're going to see it here momentarily. And what we're going to talk about is when you look at this form, the first part, section A, is done by the FFL holder, the person that you're actually buying the gun from. They'll put in the type of gun it is, and it'll have all the features, the characteristics of what that gun is that they will put on that. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the ATF form 4473. You're going to see that come up on the screen. So when you're looking at this form, look at section A, and it says right on there to completed by the transferee or the seller. That is not going to be you, all right? You are the buyer. The buyer is the one. You're going to be starting in block 9, and you will fill all the way down out to 23. When you start with block 9, it's very simple. It's got your name. Block 10, your address. Talks about your residency, where you are. It's going to go right into where your place of birth. It's going to list the city and the state, unless you're born in a foreign country. You have to put that in there. Then in block 18A and 18B, it talks about ethnicity and race. Check the appropriate blocks for what you are. All right, we don't need to go into that. Blocks 20 and 21 are really the most crucial ones. Why? Because they are a lot of yes and no answers. So you need to pay close attention to the wording on those, because the first question is one of the biggest ones. If you answer that incorrectly, you will get denied before you even go to try and finish that purchase with that firearm, okay? I can't tell you what to put in that block, because that is between you and yourself and reading and understanding the literature of how it's written. So you need to make sure very carefully how you put that on there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll try to give you as much information as we possibly can, all right? So when you get through all those, you'll get down to Part L. Part L says, are you an alien illegally or unlawfully in the United States? You answer yes or no. Part ML, are you an alien who has been admitted to the United States under a non-immigrant visa? Again, you put yes or no. If you look at M2, it says if you answered yes, then you have to do this. So if you answered no to the previous one, you do not have to answer that next one. All right? When you get to 22, you'll sign it, you'll date it. The person that you're actually buying it from will turn the form back around to themselves, and then they will put all the information in for the firearm which you are buying. Depending on the state you're in, whether it's a handgun or a long gun, a short-barreled rifle, they're going to put all that information in there. Also, you will get a trigger lock form. You'll have to put your name on there, and you will have to sign it and date it. That is mandatory, so that when you get that handgun, that form will go back to the buyer stating that when you bought that handgun, it came with a trigger lock. That is very important. All right. So again, look at this form as we're talking about it, because all those blocks right there. Again, if you got questions, and please, try to keep them common sense. I mean, and I'm not trying to insult anybody out there. All right. If we see something, we're going to try to, again, we're here to help you and educate you as much as possible. So feel free to ask all the questions that you can, and we'll reach back out to you with all the answers that we possibly can. Moving on to the next one. If you look at the form, and you're going to see this swap over to the page, this is the Michigan pistol sales record. So if you're not a Michigan resident, you can stop watching the video right now, and thank you for being here. Stay frosty. If you are a Michigan resident, stay with us and look at this, because now what's going to happen is that person that you're buying that firearm from, they're going to go in their computer and they're going to start typing in everything from your driver's license that you put on the ATF form 4473. They're going to put your name in. They're going to put your address in. They're going to ask you right on the spot, is this your correct address? Folks, I'm telling you, if your address is wrong on your driver's license, they're not going to sell you that gun. All right? You need to make sure it's right. If you've moved, you need to make sure that you go to your Secretary of State, your DMV, and make sure that there is a sticker on there that has your new driver's license until you get the new one. All right? Your address has to match. Your address on there has to be current as to where you reside, and that's what's going to go on these forms. All right? That's the government. That's ATF, folks. We can't negate that. Sorry. So, Michigan pistol sales record. Again, they're going to put your name, all of the blocks in there, your race, your sex, your street address, county, zip code, phone number. They're going to put all that stuff in there. The most critical pieces on there, if you look, and there are no block numbers on here, but you'll see in here where it says pistol information. So when you look at that information that's on that block, that is the stuff that the sales associate's going to put in there from the gun that you're buying. So let's just say that you're buying this beautiful Shadow Systems right here, which you can't see it, but you would be buying that sucker, and they would get the serial number right off the box, and they put all that information in there. It's going to list how long the barrel is, how many bullets does it hold. They're going to put all that information in there. Last but not least, they're going to put in the seller information. So when you're looking at that, you can see the form here. Right, here's the one that I have that for recent purchase, and it has the person that or business, I should say, that I acquired that firearm from. So the last piece of that, and this goes on both forms for Michigan residents, right? Because when you fill out that ATF 4473 and you give it back to them and they go to finish everything out, you may or may not know this, they may have already told you this, but they're doing a NICS check on you, all right? That is a background check. So what they're doing is they're taking your information, they're putting it in the system, and they're seeing if there are any flags in there on your name, on your social security number, and seeing if anything comes back. Chances are, I don't even know what the percentage is, I'm going to guess. I'm going to say probably somewhere in the ballpark about 75 to 80%, maybe 85% of the people that put in a form, it would come back approved. My number could be way off, so forgive me if I'm off. But when you put that information into the system, it comes back and it spits out a number. That number goes on both forms. It goes on the ATF 4473 and it goes on this Michigan pistol sales record to say, here is the NICS transaction number associated with that firearm purchase. All right. So listen, if you're thinking about going out and getting one, you're on the fence, you're questioning, all I can tell you is get out there. One of the next videos that we're going to be shooting here really shortly, probably within the week, is we're going to talk about basic firearm safety. If you're new to firearms, watch the video, because we can't emphasize firearm safety enough. And if you're really curious, if you're really inquisitive, get in touch with a firearms instructor. Get in touch with a business that does firearms classes, and get out there, look at our website on there, contact us by phone if you need to, because we don't. If you're in the state of Michigan, you're Southwest Michigan, we'll hook you up. We'll take care of you. You get one of these beautiful t-shirts when you go through the class, get you a nice pretty little koozie to go with it. You can't have a drink while you're actually in the class, but you can take it with you and have a nice cold drink after you get done with the class, especially in this beautiful cold weather that we're having in wonderful Michigan. But listen, again, questions, comments, reach out to us. All right, and everybody, please, please, please stay frosty out there. Thank you.